Assalamualaikum, and my name is Putri Nurul Izzatul Sofia Natasha binti Muhammad Sabri. Today I would like to share with you guys about Kids Economy. What is actually Kid Economy? Kid Economy is an environment where organizations contract with independent workers for short-term engagement and temporary projects. Instead of traditional full-time position in a specific organization, gig workers provide their services for one or more employers with flexible arrangements.
For years, the norm for a job has been permanent full or part-time employment. But recently, more and more people are beginning to take on a variety of short-term jobs, also known as gigs. These include things like freelancing, temp jobs, jobs in the sharing economy, and more. All of these different jobs form something called the gig economy. The gig economy is beginning to take up a larger portion of the workforce, and studies show no sign of it slowing down. This is partially due to the evolution of technology. Companies are now able to hire workers anywhere in the world who can then easily telecommute and work remotely for them. Mobile apps have allowed businesses like Uber and Airbnb to grow an enormous amount of contract workers. And social media has given people the ability to market themselves and sell their products and services at a much cheaper cost than traditional advertising. It's hard to say exactly how the rise of the gig economy will affect and change the future of the job market, but we do know that both companies and workers will need to continue to adapt to it.
We move to the example of Kid Economy. I give you 3 examples of Kid Economy, which are first, freelancing, temp jobs, and also job share economy. Regarding to my example of freelancer, freelancer is a term that is commonly used for a person who is self-employed and not necessarily committed to a particular employer long-term.
The word economy can be seen as a bit of a dirty word these days, but add the word sharing and suddenly things seem a little brighter. However, with just 5% of the UK public alone fully understanding what the sharing economy is, here's a brief guide to what it actually means to you and me. Let's start right at the beginning. We've been sharing things for thousands of years, with neighbors lending each other food, borrowing tools, and allowing friends to stay whenever they need a place to crash. This isn't a new thing, and with new technology, the sharing economy is enabling this human trait to grow and enable both local and international transactions. Today, there are thousands of sharing economy websites which will give you the option to share, well, almost anything. For example, say you have a spare room for a week which you'd like to rent out. Or maybe you need to travel across country. The sharing economy means you can see who else from your city is making the same journey and grab a ride. It's not all about the money. Many of the transactions that pass through the sharing economy do so without cash ever changing hands. After all, the more we spend, the more we consume, and the more we waste. Mankind's obsession with ownership appears to be at a tipping point, and the sharing economy is perhaps the beginning of the antidote. In 2013 alone, the UK benefited from £4.6 billion of savings and earnings from the sharing economy. And this is only set to grow. So the next time you have a room going spare, an empty seat in your car, or a talent you think others could benefit from, if you choose to share it, then you'll be adding to this new and vibrant economy.
Most common characteristics of Kid Economy are buying and selling services is through online, and the bidding for services is just like Uber and Airbnb.
Smartphone apps are changing the way we work. With the push of a button, we can summon services to our exact location, whether that's taxis, plumbers, takeaways, or even masseurs. We think these apps are making the world more efficient, but what if they're not? What if what's really powering this gig economy is something much less sophisticated, like poor worker conditions? To find out, I decided to try it out myself. I'll tell you about my interview process and the contract designed to scare you off asserting your rights. In the 1992 sci-fi book Snow Crash, author Neil Stephenson has a go at envisioning a brutally Darwinistic labour market which sits within a sophisticated digital economy where everyone must fend for themselves without any job security or protection. He conjures up the job of the deliverator, someone who at his own prerogative scouts to make a living out of pizza delivery. Within that economic dystopia, everything bar the physical delivery is automated. The sector is controlled by a mafia monopoly called Cosa Nostra. Guiding the cartel's operations is one single principle. The deliverator stands tall, your pie in 30 minutes, or you can have it free, shoot the driver, take his car, or file a class action suit. But whereas Snow Crash was only a story, today's gig economy is not. What's frightening about that is that the brutality of this system is being lost on those who actually use these apps. The heart of the problem relates to the cost of service. We love the apps because they're convenient and cheap. Technology has something to do with that. But in reality, the jury's still out on whether this is true innovation or just a loss-leading model currently being subsidized by investors and workers. Many of the latter are having to work harder for less money and without the securities provided by traditional employment contracts just because they're called contractors instead of employees or workers.
So, conclusion for gig economy, most important thing is you must be aware of all the opportunities and possibilities available today so that you can make an informed decision.